we're going to discover in this episode is how do we accept curiosity over fear? How can we work with our inner child when we go within? And how can we apply that in this day and age? How can we apply that every day in everyday life? Welcome to Accepting, where I guide you to accept all aspects of your beautiful self, embrace your truth, and live your life that way. Hello, gorgeous, and a warm welcome to Accepting. I'm Aline, your host. I'm a coach, I'm a channel, and I'm a mentor. And I love to see highly sensitive people, intuitive empaths of all kinds flourish. And in this episode, we're going to be following on from the previous episode where we connected with that beautiful childlike sense of wonder with the inner child. And we're going to be discovering curiosity over fear. So grab yourself a cup of tea, get yourself cozy, and let's dive in. So, following from the previous episode, where we were talking about how Mars is in retrograde in Cancer until the 23rd of February, and is always so important that we really nurture ourselves inside. And especially when we have this moment of Mars, which is the action planet and moving forward and getting things done, when she's in retrograde, it's allowing ourselves to reflect on how we can look after ourselves better as she's in retrograde in Cancer. We're going to recap on the previous episode. If you haven't watched it or listened to it, please go back, because I take us through a gorgeous journey at the end of it, which is really connecting with that fabulous, nurturing, protective inner mother and really nurturing that inner child. So please go back if you haven't watched that or listened to that, because it's a beautiful connection to bring us to where we are now. Now, what we're going to discover in this episode is how do we accept curiosity over fear? How can we work with our inner child when we go within? And how can we apply that in this day and age? How can we apply that every day in everyday life? Well, every day as well, absolutely. With all of the distractions, with all of the societal rules, etc., so forth. So first of all, what I'd really like to talk about is we have entered a 9-year, and 2025 is a 9-year. 2025 being a 9-year is, a 9 is finishing. A 9 is an end of a cycle. A 9 is closing to open up for the new. So the 9-year really invites us to finish unfinished business. It really invites us, if there's something that really needs looking at and finishing, to do that. If there's something that we keep going back to and keep going back to and keep going back to, it might be inviting us to say, actually, that's closed, that's done, because it's the end of it. The 9 is closing. And as we're closing cycles, we're opening the space for more gifts and more experiences to come in. So it may be, my gorgeous, there has been something that you've been going back to and back to and back to and back to for whatever reason that is, and it's never felt quite right. It could be very much, this is the time to say, I close this. However that may be, whatever that looks like. Because of course, as we're recording and as we're talking about the collective, we are giving a general overview. So to have more of so to have more of a personal overview, you can absolutely get in touch with me for any Akashic coaching, or if you would like to have an Akashic channel session. I'm talking about an overview and what we can possibly be experiencing. And this is moving on from the fabulous episode with Patricia Tabares, where she talks about, as the collective, what 2025 can be for us. If you haven't watched that or listened to that, I highly invite you to go back and listen to that. And what I'm doing and what we're doing in these episodes is we're taking out certain elements and we are expanding on those. So in terms of 2025 being a 9-year, it's closing. It's also getting things done. So if there are projects, here it is, if there are projects that you haven't completed yet, it might be they're not to be completed. This is the message. Here it comes. It might be they're not to be completed. It might be that you've been going back and back and back, and for whatever reason, you have not been able to complete that project. It might be because that project is not to be completed. And as difficult that could be, because perhaps you've been working on it and working on it and working it and leaving it and going back to it and going back to it, it might be actually a really good idea to go inside and feel, does that project need to be completed? It might be a book. It might be some music that you've been composing. It could be absolutely anything. It might be finishing the color of a wall, anything. It could be absolutely anything that you've been trying and trying and trying to bring out to the world. And for whatever reason, there's been things happening around you externally that hasn't allowed you to go inside and go internally and finish that project. It may be because it's done. Okay, so that's one way to look at that. It could be actually that project is not for completing. That project was for another reason, because we have another project for you. So it's not to be disheartened. It's not to be disappointed. Whatever's happened with whatever that project was has got you to a space, actually, there's something better. There's something more for you to start working on. It could also be, my gorgeous, that absolutely that project is for finishing. It could absolutely be that you may have been going back to it and going back to it and going back to it and not quite feeling right. This could be your moment, my gorgeous, to finish that project, to go inside, to feel what feels right for you, to work with your imagination, to work with all these gorgeous inner parts of you, your inner child and your inner protective mother and your inner father, your inner family, and really start to feel and push that fabulous energy into this project to get it completed, because 9 is the year of completions. So for example, from my point of view, I'm completing 2 books this year, and I'm completing a set of meditations that have been here for years. I know these are for completing. There's also something else that I started before, which isn't for completing. It has got me to a point where I am now recording the Accepting podcast. And all of that had to happen to get me to this point. So as I said, please don't be despondent. Please don't be disappointed. If you really feel that that project you've been working on isn't actually for completing. And it may be that it is for completing. So I would really invite you to be massively honest with yourself. Does this project bring you joy? Honestly, does this project feel right for you? Does this project give you a childlike sense of wonder and curiosity as you're developing it? Or is it flat? Does it just not feel right anymore? Does it just feel like more of a chore than a hindrance? And does it feel like more of a have to than a choose to? If you're in a sense of, I have to finish that, that is not the greatest energy to be in to complete a project, my gorgeous. When we're completing projects, it's really important to be in that childlike sense of wonder, of imagination, of this is fabulous, I'm loving this, because the energy that we're putting into that, as we're putting it out into the world, that's how it's going to be received. So whatever you love, keep doing that. Whatever you're not loving, I would suggest that you close that. And also, I'd like to mention as well, it may be just a project for yourself. So if you're putting yourself into perfectionism of this project has to be completed to the absolute best ability so I can put it out to the world, it might actually not be for the world. It might just be for your world, my gorgeous. It might just be for you to reflect on and for you to grow with. You know, it might not necessarily be for everybody else. So that's another way I would look at that project. So I would look at, or projects, I would look at it as, one, is it actually for finishing? Yes or no? Yes. Second question, is it for finishing for you and just you? If that's a yes, then dive into that. You know, we're in this glorious Mars in retrograde with Cancer and self-nurturing and nourishing. Dive into that. Feel that gorgeous childlike sense of being in that beautiful moment with your project, regardless of what anybody else thinks about it. Lose the judgment and just be in that moment. Okay? And if it's just for you, fabulous. It doesn't have to be for everybody else. And number 3 is, if you feel this is absolutely for other people to enjoy as well, really make sure you're enjoying it first. Create it for you first. Create it for you, absolutely for yourself first, before you share with anybody, before you start talking about it on social media or you start talking about it with your friends and family. Really, really feel it for you. Feel the fun of it, feel the joy of it, and feel not necessarily about the completion. It's about being inside it, being inside that story, being inside that beautiful creative product. Maybe you're designing clothes. Maybe you're designing book covers. Maybe you're creating something and you're sewing something. Maybe it's to do with a beautiful recipe that you're creating. Whatever it is, there's so many ways that we can create. Whatever that may be for you, my gorgeous, whether it's this beautiful masterpiece of a gorgeous composition that you've made musically, it might just be for yourself, for your inner child, you know, and your inner family to enjoy. And if it's for the world and you know that, enjoy it first. Put that gorgeous enjoyment and joy and love into that first before you bring it out, okay? And enjoy it. Don't feel into, oh, well, hang on a minute, when am I supposed to be putting this out into the world? Please do not go into that energy. Remember, it's curiosity over fear. So if you start feeling scared or frightened or fearful when you're in a project, I would invite you to step back, go into the journey that I took you through in the previous episode, and get that self-joyous sense of childlike wonder back before you start doing any work on it. Because if we're going into anything with a sense of, got to get this done, I have to, fearful, blah, 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 judgment, how are we going to enjoy that? We're going to have shoulders up round our ears. We're going to be shortness of breath. We're going to be stressed. It's not going to be fun. The operative word is fun. Okay, so we've spoken about the 3 F's and the 4 F's. This is the completely different element of that on the other end of the scale, the polarity of it. This is fun. Okay, so this is what we're going to be diving into. And actually, interestingly, when we do work with I've spoken about this in previous episode, please watch that also. When we're in that kind of if we can start feeling fearful because there's a change happening with the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn response, then it's really lovely actually to turn those on their heads, and maybe that fawn people pleasing response, turn that on its head and please yourself and have a laugh and enjoy it with that flight response of distractions and running away. Feel that childlike sense of fun and feel into, oh, maybe it could be this, maybe it could be that, maybe it could be that, and use those different elements of What could it be of curiosity? Not, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm going there. Oh my goodness, I'm in flight mode. I'm in distraction mode. Use that kind of, what could it be? Or how would it look like this? How would it look like this? How would it feel for me there? Use those. And then also with that glorious curiosity over fear, you can also use, so turning resistance, turning fight on its head, you can turn that round as protection, where you're really protecting yourself in this project. So we spoke about, the inner mother of protection in the previous episode, with Mars being in retrograde in Cancer. Use that very much when you're in your project. Really use that, because there might be people knocking at the door when you're in your glorious imagination and your fabulous project, whatever that is. There might be people trying to get through to you on the phone. What I would really invite you to do is, with that inner mother protection, is set time aside just for you, where you're not going to be disturbed, when you're in that glorious, glorious, glorious imagination, and you're just feeling into all of that fun, and you're curious, and it doesn't matter what it's going to be, it's just being in it. That's how I would really invite you to enter that. So that curiosity over fear. So we've spoken about how our inner child is so fundamental when we're in projects, when we're in newness. So also about the 9-year. So got very much into projects there, and this is very much what this episode is about: curiosity over fear. So if you don't have any projects on the go, doesn't matter, start one. This could actually be the 9-year of where you put away and you finish the cycle of doing something for fun. If you haven't done something just for the pure, get my right teeth in, if you haven't done something just for the pure, sheer pleasure of it, do that now. Do that this year. Feel into what is fun for you, because it's not going to be the same as somebody else. We're not all the same. So I would invite you to go into the journey in the previous episode and feel where you went with your inner child, what was fun for you, and start developing that. And if you don't have any projects on the go at the moment, start and just do it for fun. It doesn't have to go out into the world. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. It doesn't have to be a Picasso. It doesn't have to be a Bronte book. It doesn't have to be the most incredible poetry of Wordsworth. Just do you and feel it and love it. And it's not about the finished product. It's about being in that moment and feeling that glorious creative sense of joy of your inner child surging through you, my gorgeous. Okay? So that's what I would really invite you for the year of 9, for curiosity over fear, because there's going to be a lot of transformations going on. And as much as it feels like a transformation, it's a transformation of not changing who we are. It's remembering who we are. It's remembering that when we were born, we burst into the world with this curiosity, with this fabulous sense of adventure, with this fabulous sense of joy, and this light personality of, oh, what's this over here? What's this over there? What can I see now? Remembering that. That is what curiosity over fear is. And that is what we're being invited to do as we're transforming and remembering who we are. We're stepping out of old societal rules. We're stepping out of who everybody told us who we should be. We're stepping out of how we've told ourselves who we could be so everybody can like us. We're leaving all that behind. We're leaving perfectionism behind. It's an end of a year of perfectionism. It's an end of year of inauthenticity. It's showing up as exactly who we are. And to do that, choose curiosity over fear. Choose love over fear every time. Every time a little fearful moment comes up, I would invite you to put your hand on your heart and just say, I'm safe. We've got this. Because as we know, we have the limbic brain. When we were cave people, survival of the fittest, if there was any change in our environment, that was danger. So when we're inviting new experiences and curiosity in, that can signify danger. Hand on heart, we've got this. I've got you. Do the inner child nurturing meditation. Protect yourself. Feel that nurturing, and then be curious. Okay, so my gorgeous, thank you so much for joining me. Here is to your self-acceptance. Here is to your self-empowerment. So much love. And as I said, I invite you to go back to the other episodes if you've not heard those. Subscribe wherever you can. Get in touch with me if you'd like to have a private reading. Get in touch with me if you'd like to have personal coaching. And let's be curious together. Okay, so much love. Hope. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Accepting. Please do stay tuned for future episodes and also subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If there's anything at all that you'd like me to cover in future episodes, please get in touch and let me know. You can also follow me on Instagram at The Acceptance Coach and on TikTok at Solution Union 99. And if you'd like to have any coaching at all, or you would like to discuss this, do book an expansion call. For now, I'm your host, Aline, and to your self-acceptance, gorgeous, with so much love.